There was rivers in the past on Mars. In Sitchin's book, he tells of a great storm on Mars that forced the Igigi to stay here on Earth. They never went back. Which also makes sense why there are structures photographed on Mars, because the Igigi were there once. Here is a Sumerian tablet that proves that the Igigi were the younger ones, the sons of God. This translation, including the wording in brackets, are done by the University of Oxford, which agrees with Zechariah Sitchin. A hymn to Marduk for Abi Isu A, c. 2.8.5.1 king who gathers up the divine powers of heaven and earth. Foremost son of Enki, Marduk, mighty lord, perfect hero, foremost of the great princes, a name for the Igigi gods. Strong one of the Anunnaki, the great gods who have given him justice and judgment. Great prince, descendant of holy An, Lord who decides destinies, who has everything in his grasp. Wise, august knower of hearts, whose divinity is manifest, who shows concern for all that he looks upon. Your ancestor An, king of the gods, has made your lordship effective against the armies of heaven and earth. However, in the Enuma Elish, the translator L.W. King around 1910 said they were the older gods. This is incorrect, as I've already read out. The leader of the senior gods was Enki from a translation. I feel L.W. King may not have read all the tablets at that point. They may not have been all found to make a clearer picture. This next passage is from the AI Chapt GPT. In Mesopotamian mythology, the Igigi are generally considered to be younger gods or deities. They are often depicted as a group of lesser gods who were created by the higher gods, such as the Anunnaki. The term Igigi itself is believed to derive from the Sumerian word Igi, meaning youth or youthful ones. This next part shows why one of the reasons Sitchin believed the Igigi were on the away station on Mars. Sitchin called Mars Lamu, but others translate it as Lakmu. Here is a passage from Project Gutenberg's The Babylonian Legends of the Creation by British Museum. Yes, the British Museum has wrote this. The primitive gods Lakmu and Lakamu and the Igigi cuneiform, who may be regarded as star gods. Also in the same translations by the British Museum, there is this which I believe is the part where the king tells the Igigi they will be stationed somewhere. Yea, over the gods of heaven and earth, all of them, 120. His kingship we will exalt. 121. We will look unto the King of all the heaven and the earth at night, when the place of all the gods is darkness, literally sadness. 122. He hath assigned our dwelling in heaven and in earth in the time of trouble. 123. He hath allotted stations to the Igigi and the Anunnaki. 124. The gods themselves are magnified by his name. May he direct their sanctuaries. 125. I'll now read out what Sitchin said in his book 111. Your success shall for eternity be recorded. By glorious names you shall be called. Those who on earth are shall as Anunnaki be known. Those who from heaven to earth came. Those who on Lamu are, Igigi shall be named. Those who observe and see they shall be. Now back to the British Museum's own words, 123. He hath allotted stations to the Igigi and the Anunnaki. You can see that the Igigi were given a place to work. I'll talk about the Igigi a bit later on. Keep hold of that name for the young sons of gods, for that's what they were. They were the teenagers or young adults, the sons of God.
So now we've proved that the Igigi were the sons of God. Let's have a look at what Genesis. Now remember what I said about Genesis being the closest version to the ancient text. Now we've just read out the ancient text. Now let's have a listen to what Genesis says about the Igigi, the same people. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth. So that's us humans after they'd created us. And the daughters were born unto them. So in other words, human males had females for daughters, which makes sense because we have sons and daughters. But this is where the Bible carries on. The sons of God saw the daughters of men. So the Igigi saw the daughters of men. Makes sense to me. And they were fair. In other words, fair game really. And they liked them. So it says, and they took them wives of all which they choose. So clearly the Igigi came down, which I'll cover in a second, from Mars and took human women. But it carries on. This is the Bible literally agreeing with the Anunnaki. And the Lord said, you know who the Lord is, my spirit shall not always strive with man. In other words, doesn't agree with us. For that he also is flesh. Also is flesh. Think about that for a second. Any religious person has to understand that he's agreeing that their flesh, there's no way around it. You can't say, oh, well, God's not really flesh. He wants to be flesh whenever he wants to. That's baloney. I'll read that bit again. And the Lord said, and we know the Lord is, there's actually lots of lords. I haven't even covered that part yet. But basically, the great Lord Enki is the great one. For that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. And that's because us humans lived actually up to 120 years when the Anunnaki first created us, compared to the Anunnakis, thousands and thousands of years. And it carries on. There were giants in the earth in those days. And also after that, when the sons of God come unto the daughters of men, and they bear children with them. So that basically means the Igigi, who were physical, flesh, just like it said there, took our human women and had kids with them. Then it carries on. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. So this was where the giants come in. So some of the Anunnaki offspring with humans had gigantism, which made sense because the Anunnakis were 8 to 12 foot tall in the first place, and us humans wasn't. We was 5 foot something, approximately. So clearly the Bible, anyone that tells you that the Bible's talking about an almighty being that's not flesh, just point out Genesis 6. My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. And a marvellous sentence there. That sums it up, but obviously people won't want to hear that, but it says it.
To see the full 3-hour video that covers the Anunnaki and Igigi and proves the Anunnaki gods were the gods in the Bible, visit ourtruehistory.co.uk. You'll find over 1,000 videos, all with evidence on many subjects, from crop circles to crystal skulls and Bigfoot, etc.